Morning team, how you going? Hope you're well. Yeah, we've recently been hit with floods here in New South Wales. So the next 24 hours will be determined. It's already been told that it's a natural disaster. It's got to do with the dams. The dams are at 100%. Now they're overflowing. Sydney Water, and I think it's got to do with really the management of water, and but Sydney has been hit. New South Wales has been hit with a lot of fires in the past and water in the past. That's another issue. That's definitely in the looking at the climate change issue. We should discuss that in on another day. But the one that I'm actually, what we're going to be discussing more about is World Autism Day. And I'm a parent of an autistic child, and I'll be talking about our experiences here in New South Wales and also in Australia. I think the major problem is that the public need to be re-educated or educated. They're not really on board with kids with disabilities and especially with autism. I'm not sure mainstream parents at schools, school meetings, and mainstream teachers and principals, they don't know how to tackle special needs kids. I could tell you that, and this is experience. My oldest daughter's 18, so I'd say a good 2 decades here in Sydney, in New South Wales. We've been experiencing this, so it's been hard, and I think that's that's not reading off anything. It's this is a natural response, very important, and I think. The thing is, I think the problem is, Australia is a signatory, body with the UN, that's signed a treaty with the UN, and the UN has actually asked Australia to lift its game when it comes to how it's segregating people with disabilities, and I think. When teachers actually tell us, what are what are your child's social goals? Social goals, I think, integration with the general population, not being segregated at schools with other people with similar problems. So they're not really learning in an area. If they're learning among their own peers, but I still think there's setbacks. Do they perform better amongst their own, peers, people with the same disabilities, or do they perform better with other people that don't have the same disabilities and are considered in the mainstream? So that's a really big issue, and I've put out a letter, and it's more of a some statements and meeting up with a government representative. So basically, this is for March 2021. So basically, the New South Wales Government of Australia, March 2001, I guess where it sort of stands, and as a parent, excuse me, as a parent as it stands. So I asked the questions, what can the New South Wales Government do to assist families in the community during the pandemic, this year? So that's the sort of thing, we're really asking, what can they do? Right now, they can't even get the vaccines across because of the floods. And that's going to set back a bit. I know that they're planning to, vaccinate about 6 million people here in just in New South Wales in the next month or so, probably even earlier. But there's been a lot of setbacks, mainly because of obviously, recently the floods, and other things too. So other political things, whether to get AstraZeneca or whether to get the other other options, Johnson and Johnson. It is a bit like, and the thing is, like, they got experts telling us, okay, the side effects, why countries set it back because of the blood clots and because of the strokes. So we don't know. We really don't know. So you take it. You take the vaccine because your government's telling you to take it. And the UN's telling you to take it. And if people die of blood clots or strokes, it's only a small portion of people. So you put up to the millions, to the the hundreds that may pass. So we don't know, but that's definitely something we should be talking about. But it's the question, So, and then the other thing was, I expressed the growth in NDIS and why there weren't any coordinators to assist the families. NDIS is like a national disability scheme here that we have for people with disabilities in Australia. So that's what NDIS means. And not every disabled child in Australia has access to this, even though it's a national disability scheme. It's just not right. And what happens every year when it gets reviewed, less and less funds get put into this. It was actually Julia Gillard, one of our first female Prime Minister, the country, that introduced this scheme. Awesome job Julia Gillard did. But what's happened is, other past governments or other governments that have gone in, they've really they've destroyed this scheme. And the schemes, it's become almost like, do you need a speech therapist? And nothing's, we used to get like $20,000 worth of funds. Now it's down to hundreds of dollars, and that's all it really is. And do you need extra nappy pads? Do you need speech therapists? And that's pretty much it, because they're not allowed to go into the schools. I had to fight for that. So I fought for Life Start to fight, to get into the schools. This is a pretty big problem, and it's political, because it was basically the education system not allowing the National Disability Scheme providers to go into the schools and help the kids that had special needs or that have special needs. And this is a big problem here in New South Wales, and possibly across Australia too. It's hard, and it's heartbreaking. Now the government's, come back to me because of the letter, and they're saying, they're going to help our children. Okay, they probably will going to probably help, but you know what? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that there's, we still haven't got the apology about Steph when they twisted her head at school. The school didn't personally apologise. The minister didn't apologise. Only one director put it in a little letter, in a small note, but that's not enough. I really wanted a public apology for my daughter. And even now, this morning, this Minister of Education said that, over 200 schools would be closed today, and if they didn't need to go to school, not to go to school today. So they can easily televise themselves in moments, but yet they haven't for my girl, and it is a bit personal. What would a parent do if their child had their head twisted and was assaulted on public grounds? It's not very good. Anyway, what can you do? And this is the thing. This is the story of Australia right now. Other things, I said CCC cameras, consider for the safety of kids with disabilities, making sure that, the public places are kept safe. from intruders, from teachers that abuse. The CCC cameras would be perfect, and I've been part of discussions on these things. Really waiting on why wasn't my apology, or our apology, our family apologised, made public? It wasn't. It was kept under the carpet, and no one really supported. Our local police didn't support. The local school didn't support. The Minister of Education didn't support. It basically came down to the regional, The regional, sorry about the regional, one of the regional teachers. So basically, regional directors of principals. Sorry, I was just lost in there. So it's early in the morning here. Sorry, and so basically, they didn't apologise for Steph, which I'm not very happy about. We also said about what are the goals, New South Wales, and where they stand in terms of the goals here in New South Wales, in terms of the 17 goals of sustainability. Do they have a plan in place? And I got nothing from this New South Wales government employee representative, and it just showed that there was just no effort, of any plan for the next 9 years, and it was just for a lot of my questions. I was just, I know that we're probably going to have another meeting, and we're going to see basically where we stand as a state. I do say that there's probably more things happening in Victoria State than there is in New South Wales. And being Victorian, I really appraise Victoria. They're very cautious in the way they approach things. Here in New South Wales, they're just, it's almost cowboy approach to certain things. Other things, as I said, about segregation of people living with disabilities. This is a big issue. Some parents are on board with this, some parents aren't. But if you think about it, if your child has got a disability and spends, up to year 12, at a high school, segregate, away from from people in mainstream. So mainstream is kind of society, okay, but tech stream, obviously you got your tech stream at school, and you've got your special needs stream. And special needs kids, if they don't integrate with mainstream kids, or even mainstream families, like they do, like my kids, we have parties, we have birthday parties, and also other types of parties, and we're with our family, and they're considered as mainstream. So Steph really survives and is able to learn with her cousins, with her sisters, and with the rest of her extended family. But at school, the place where she learns, she's not learning from people from mainstream. She's learning from people that have got the same disabilities as her, can barely talk or communicate, because this is what, this thing, autism, it's something, they do have problems in communicating and really, I guess, getting the information, what they want out there, and their needs are, very hard to be met. We try to meet their needs. We're following all the experts from doctors at hospitals, the schools, other, social, NDIS, National Disability Scheme providers. These are people that deal with people like my daughter day in, day out, and they've got a good insight to how to treat people with learning disabilities. But my problem is that the state government and the federal government in Canberra, the policies that they've got on these people is just shocking. It's appalling. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. People are living their lives. They're getting their paychecks. But you know what? They personally don't give a toss about my children and children like them. And this is where, an advocacy and being an advocate of these people with these disabilities, they can't fend for themselves. And it's horrible. And what gets me more is that the governments that have been provided, that should provide health and care and safety for these kids, from the community and justice, what it should be, community and justice. They don't. And they come and, they try to address all the issues. We've been waiting for funding for one of my other daughters for months, if not years. She's 15 now. We were about to lose her on the first day she was born at Randwick. We had a doctor laugh at us and telling us that Rachel was going to die on the day we had, my wife had given birth, her birth date. As a parent, and that's run by the New South Wales government. I don't know how many times the New South Wales government has done us wrong. So much wrong that it's just, that's half the reason why I probably gain weight, from the worries of just the way the stress, at some of the hospitals and, the witch hunts that they've done, not only to our families but to other families. The Indigenous people, God, if I was an Indigenous person in New South Wales, oh, mate, it's just amazing what they do to these people. They treat them like criminals. I'm a Southern European with my wife, and they treat us, it's almost like they treat the parents like criminals, and the thing is, if my child has a little bit of bruising or something like that, and the bruising will happen like at the schools, and they might hurt themselves, and if it's come from home, abuse, and they, it's just shocking, guys. It's absolutely very, very bad. And what can we do? We could do a lot. We could complain, but nothing gets done. Someone got their child locked in one of the rooms like a cage at school. They got locks and doors. The state didn't even apologise, and the mum says they don't care. They don't give a, they don't give a, I can't even say the word, but they don't give a toss, and you can probably work out what that means in English. So other things, so basically I said to them, I find that these areas are deep concerning, and that I don't know, I think the UN needs to really look back into these things here in New South Wales. Things are falling, out of place. But I like to say thanks for listening. So basically I'm Director John Rosidi, and I'm also the member of the Institute of International Peace Leaders International. Also the Executive for Communication and Information Systems for the Department of Sustainability and Development. And thank you. All the best, guys. Take care. Bye.